Hi friends, my name is Marv Machura and welcome again to my studio here in beautiful Vernon, British Columbia with another episode of Machura on McLuhan. Thank you for all the comments and I appreciate them very much. A lot of people had written me about my previous episode about the global village and I would just like to explain that a little bit further today and answer some of those questions that seem to be on people's minds. Marshall McLuhan saw that the world was entering the electronic age, and he said the world was becoming a global village. And as I explained in my previous video, you have to understand the previous age, the Gutenberg galaxy, another metaphor that McLuhan uses for the age prior to the electronic age, the age of the printing press, Gutenberg printing press, of course. A really great example of this clash of societies and the village world versus the literate world or the Gutenberg world could be seen in Western Canada history, which I'm, of course, very familiar with as a Western Canadian roots artist. If you know, look up my music and stuff, you'll see that that's very familiar to me. Anyway, just picture this. Here is the Canadian prairie, and there's these the Northwest Mounted Police, which became the RCMP, the famous red-coated Mounties. They're clashing with the Blackfoot and the Cree people who lived here in a village way for eons. And in the tribal world, every warrior has his own war paint, his own identity. He's established himself as a warrior with a certain clan, with a certain tribe. There is that tribal identity, but he or she really would want to be identified in an individual way. And all of us human beings, we have this innate desire for identity, the quest. And to back up a little bit, in the mid-1960s, Marshall McLuhan published his probably most widely printed book, which was War and Peace in the Global Village, wherein he states in many, many places and provides examples that every act of identity can be distilled down to an act of violence. And if I can just digest a little bit, if you think about our own world in the electronic age, the global village age, why are people so inclined to get tattoos? And getting a tattoo is very much literally an act of violence where you have to pierce the skin with a needle and then get the blood flowing and the ink underneath your epidermis, and you're doing that because you want to be different, you want to be unique, you want to be somebody who is not like the other human beings. You're doing that. And a very strong, powerful urge, I suppose, in our global village era to do that, which would explain all the popularity of of tattooing and body modification and other things that people are doing in our day that just didn't exist in the previous age or the Gutenberg galaxy, which was very much uniform haircuts. It's hard for us to even believe, but when I was growing up, you could get beat up for having hair that's slightly longer than around the ears, yeah. But I digress. Back to Western Canada, where the Gutenberg world clashed here with the tribal world. And you have the separation, the captains, the privates, and all that thing that happens in the British Army that was basically coming to impose themselves on Western Canadian culture and the people who were here previous, right? You can imagine they're on that prairie, and these guys with their uniforms, their wool coats, next to the tribal people sitting on the ground peacefully and in harmony more with nature and in a village kind of concept, their own identity very much tied into their selves and how they dressed, and as opposed to the uniform quality of the people who were entering that Western Canada at that time were very much products of the Gutenberg galaxy and the literate humankind. So, to get to the basic point here, in the village world, you have to express your individuality somehow within the tribal context. Whereas in the Gutenberg world, your individuality was not so important as the sort of fitting into the regular kind of way of life. You did have more. It's innate. Humankind's must exert their individuality, and when you do that, you are exerting some kind of violence in order for that to happen. But it wasn't so visceral. It wasn't so immediate. It wasn't so tattooed like on people prior to the global village taking over. The electronic media having a profound effect on all aspects of our society and ourselves. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode. Be kind to each other, be kind to the planet, and travel on. We'll see you next time with more Machura on McLuhan. Cheers.